What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the RedRock Dual Side Exit Exhaust System with black tips fitting all 2020 and newer 3.6 liter JT Gladiators. Now changing the exhaust on your truck can make a huge difference, whether you want to switch up the look of the factory system with something that's a bit more stylish, you want to add some more character to the sound of your 3.6 liter, or both, and this system by RedRock will be a great solution for each one of those problems. Now as far as sound goes with this system, I would say it is at about a 3 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with a 1 being completely stock and 5 being wake the neighbors loud. Now that will make it a solid option for the JT owner who is in search of a system that's going to offer a lower and more assertive tone while simultaneously enjoying the inside of the cab for longer drives or even just everyday commuting. The design here will improve the flow of your exhaust system substantially, especially with the straight through style muffler here and the large piping, which will be responsible for that sound increase and offer the improvement with the tone. Now while the volume again will increase, it is going to be right in the middle at that 3, which is not going to be super overbearing or obnoxious. Now with a less restrictive system and having a higher flow design, you can expect some interior noise, but again, with the volume level, it's going to be enough that it's not going to make you uncomfortable day to day. This will also just have some very sleek styling compared to the boring factory system, with the large dual side exit tips on the back with a powder coated black design to match with other dark accessories on the truck, and the side exit will deflect some of that sound to either side, which will be sure to turn some heads. This will be made with a mandrel-bent 3-inch 409 stainless steel. The material here will be a good quality material. It is going to resist rust much better than the factory system and other non-stainless materials, while also saving you a couple bucks compared to other high-grade stainless, making it a great compromise. Now, the sizing here will also increase compared to the factory and will offer a full 3-inch diameter from front to back, allowing an increase in airflow, especially with the straight-through style muffler here. Now, the tips will also again be black powder coated stainless as well, resisting rusting and protecting it from the elements that much more, in addition to that nice finished appearance. It's also going to come with all of the clamps and the hardware and true factory style hangers for a relatively straightforward install. This system will come in at about $475, which is pretty affordable for this style of system. Now this will be super simple when it comes to the design, yet it is going to have that stylish touch with the configuration and the tips on the end, which I think works very well in this system's favor, while also using a good stainless steel for solid durability. Now the system will also be right in the middle with sound, which is going to offer it that edgy presence without being over the top, making this an all-around great choice, especially if you want to save when it comes to buying an exhaust. Install here is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and should only take you about 2 hours to get the job done with the right setup and the right experience. At this point, we can head over to our shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get this one to your JT at home. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a ratchet, a swivel adapter, an extension, 10, 13, 15, and 18 millimeter sockets. What's up guys? Today we're installing an exhaust on our Gladiator. First we're going to watch a quick uninstall video showing you how to remove the factory exhaust, and I'll meet you right back here for the install.
Okay guys, first step obviously is we're going to have to remove our factory exhaust. Now we have our Gladiator up on a lift to give you guys some better angles to show you exactly what we're doing underneath the Jeep. And the way we're going to do this is going to preserve our factory exhaust. If you don't care about your factory exhaust, it might be easier just to cut it off, but we're going to show you how to get this off while preserving the piping. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the skid plate here, and that's so we can drop the front end of the exhaust down. It'll make it a little bit easier to kind of work its way out. The factory exhaust is basically one piece from the Y pipe all the way back to the tailpipe. So what we're first going to do is we have a 13 mil bolt or a nut right here we're going to remove, and then we have 4 18 millimeter bolts here and then 2 up front here that we're going to remove, and that'll let us get the skid plate down. All right, like I said guys, that one we just did was a 13 millimeter, and the next 4 are all going to be 18 millimeter sockets you're going to need. All right guys, now before I do the front two, make sure you're supporting it with your hand, because once you loosen these, the skid plate's gonna wanna drop on you. All right guys, now this point back is what we're gonna be removing. So this clamp here, we're gonna loosen. You're gonna need a 13 mil socket for this ball clamp. Now, unlike a regular flat clamp, these ball clamps have a kind of a curved edge that kind of cup around the end of the flange here. So you have to loosen it quite a bit in order to slide this out eventually. So we have that pretty good and loose, so we're gonna move to the next step. All right guys, now we're gonna pull back on this lock tab. This is just kind of to prevent the clamp from sliding at all. So just get a screwdriver in there, pull that back. All right guys, now we're right near the tailpipe, and this is the rearmost hanger. We're gonna remove this bracket because it is the one bracket that is pointing in an opposite direction from the other hangers further forward on the exhaust. I'm gonna use a 13 mil socket on these two bolts as well. All right guys, now just to get it out of our way, we're gonna pull this hanger off. You're gonna have to pull it out a little bit and rotate it down. There's this little tab right here that hooks into the frame rail, so you need to get it away from there. You should be able to just pull this out like that. All right guys, now go ahead and assemble a tool that comes with your Jeep. We're going to lower our spare tire, get that out of the way, and then also remove the spare tire guard to finish getting out our exhaust pipe. Now this tool basically goes into a plastic sleeve that's behind the bumper here. Once you get that in, you can't twist it by hand, then you know you're on the, it's kind of like a bolt back in there that the end of this tool goes on, and we're gonna use this just like a socket wrench. And then the lug wrench here has a square opening in it. Put that in the end here. All right, with a bunch of slack let out, guys, you don't want to drop it all the way to the ground. You want to be able to get a hand underneath your tire. Lift your tire up. And there's a black bracket the tire rests on. Slide it up the cable and get it through the lug hole. All right guys, now to remove the heat shield that protects our spare tire, you're gonna have 5 bolts. They're all 10 millimeter. There's 3 up here that are gonna be very hard, if not impossible for you guys to see on camera here, but we're gonna take those 3 out first. All right, and then we have the last 2 right here, again, 10 millimeter. All right guys, now at this step, we only have 2 hangers that are holding our exhaust pipe up, and they are both pointing towards the front. which means with the help of my friend back here, we're gonna slide the entire pipe backwards out of these two hangers and then drop it down and actually pull it forward to clear the rear axle.
So now we're ready to start installing our new exhaust. We're gonna start with our front pipe here, raise our flange up to our stock pipe, slide our band clamp into place, and tighten it down with a 13mm socket. Now with our front pipe reinstalled, we can slide our support bracket back into place, thread in our bolts, and then we can also reinstall our nut. And now we can take an 18mm socket to tighten down our 4 bolts. And then we'll switch to a 13mm socket to tighten down our nut. Next, we can install our muffler. So we're going to take one of our clamps and slide that over our muffler inlet, and then we can raise that up into place. Now once we have that slid on, I'm just going to throw our next clamp on for now. And then we can grab our 15mm socket, slide our clamp into place, and tighten that down. Next we can install our mid pipe. So we're going to slide our 2 hangers onto the rods. And the same thing with the other one. And then we can slide this into our muffler. And then we can take the 2 bolts for our front hanger and thread those in. And now we can thread in the 2 bolts on our back hanger. And then we'll grab our 13mm socket to tighten these down. Next we can come back to our first hanger, take our 13mm socket, tighten down the 2 bolts. And now we can switch to our 15mm socket to tighten down our clamp. Next we can install our Y pipe. So we'll take one of our clamps, slide it over the edge. And then we can slide our clamp into place and take a 15mm socket to tighten it down. Next we'll get our heat shield lined up and get our 2 bolts reinstalled into the driver's side frame rail. As well as these 2 nuts on the back side here. And then we'll grab a 10mm socket to tighten these down. Next we can reinstall our spare tire. So we're going to drop this spring through the center cap hole first, and then we're going to angle this black piece through there as well. And now we can go back to our rear bumper and start to raise this up. So now I've got our tool going through the rear here, and we start twisting to raise up our spare tire. Now before we start installing our tailpipes, we are going to have to add a hanger on our passenger side frame rail. So we're pretty much centered up with the spare tire over here. We've got a U-clip that's going to be going through the bigger hole to the smaller hole. Now once we have that into place, we can take our hanger, bend our bolt, we'll thread our bolt into the U-clip, and then take a 13mm socket to tighten it down. Next we can install our driver's side tailpipe. So we're going to grab our hanger and slide that onto our rod. And then we'll grab our clamp. And then we can raise this up, get it onto our Y-pipe. Now with our pipe in place, we can reinstall the 2 bolts into our hanger. And then we'll grab our 13mm socket to tighten these down. And now we can go back to our clamp and take a 15mm socket to tighten it down. Next we can install our passenger side tailpipe. So we're going to slide our isolator onto our rod first. And then we can slide our clamp onto the pipe. We'll connect this pipe to our Y pipe. And then we can raise up our isolator and connect it to the hanger that we installed earlier. And now we'll just go back and tighten down our clamp. And now we can take a 15mm socket to tighten down our clamp. And now lastly, we can install our tip. I've got our clamp on here. Slide that on and then take our 15mm socket and tighten it down. And now you can do that same thing on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the RedRock Dual Exhaust System with black tips, side exit for your 2020 and newer 3.6 liter Gladiator J2. Thank you for watching, and for all things Gladiator, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.